Good afternoon and welcome to Follow Your Brush. Thank you if you have been following me. If you are new, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Follow your brush and down the ink hole is what I'm doing now. I began as a watercolorist and started my channel with questions actually, and I couldn't really seem to find a lot of answers online. So I thought as I was asking my questions and learning and growing that you all might like to follow along, and some of the questions that I have, you might have too. This is going into my 6th year of watercolor now, and I have added, just like you're playing with blocks, you just kind of keep adding blocks and adding blocks and adding blocks. But when I first started, I started with watercolor. I purchased an 89-cent watercolor set at Kroger and a pad of paper that said watercolor paper, but you know, it really wasn't. They lie. It's just basically newsprint. But I wanted something that I could take with me. My husband was often in the hospital and I was spending time with him by his bedside and so forth. And so I couldn't really bring acrylics and all that other type of equipment with me to the hospital. So I started with this little watercolor set, and I absolutely fell in love with watercolor, even with that little 89-cent palette and a pack of paper that was just basically nothing more than newsprint. But I have since grown. I'm going into my 6th year now, and some of you have followed me here for the last few years, and I appreciate that. If you'd like to like and subscribe, feel free. I'm not monetized. I'm not, I call it my baby YouTube channel, but we do have over almost 800 members, and have a good time, and I just share with you what I'm learning as I go. But I have built on to that little 89-cent set. Let me show you some of the stuff that I began with that you might want to, kind of the tools of the trade, so to speak, that if you're interested in watercolor, some of the things that might be useful to you. I started with Daniel Smith. I started with other smaller sets that were pan sets that were pre-poured. And I soon found out that I went through them very quickly. And to replace pan sets can be very expensive. So I began to change my practice and learned that if I purchase tubes, doesn't have to be Daniel Smith, that just happens to be what's in this bag. These are my, yeah, this actually is gouache. That's not what I was talking about, but I do have bags and bags of watercolors. But I do found that if you buy the tubes and just fill your own pans, it is much more economical. So this is an example of my Daniel Smith, and it's a mess, I know. My Daniel Smith palette as it is now. This is like after a few years, several years of use. It originally came with just 10 across, or 12 across the top. And then I added some more to the bottom, and then I smushed some more in the middle. So I think there's like about 30 of them in here. I don't know, I haven't counted them. But these are some of my favorite colors. And if they run low, like this one is, I think this is like Hansa Yellow Medium. Yeah, Hansa Yellow Medium. Then I can just go to my tubes and refill them. And so that's what I prefer to do. So that's an option for you. But there are pan sets that you can pre-purchase. And often if you're starting, you might want to just start like with a set of primaries, which would be the yellow, the red, and the blue. Sometimes they have split primaries. So you have cools and warms, and these are all things that I had to learn as I went. They're cooler if they lean more toward blue in shade, warmer if they lean more toward the red and orange. So like a lemon yellow would be a very pure, bright yellow, whereas like an Indian yellow, even the name Indian yellow kind of gives you the thought of it's leaning toward red and orange, like fall leaves. So there's a difference between the springs, the cools, and the warms. You can think it's getting hot, the colors get hotter or warm, cooler, you know. Anyway, I'm not going to try to get into warm and cool colors. But I've added to my collection as I have gone. I'm talking about 2 paints. This is a recent acquisition. Actually, these are the paints from My Marie Blue. And this is the collection that was recommended by Steve Mitchell. He has it available on Amazon now. He has his own chose his own colors for a landscape palette. They come in 2 paints. So what I did is I filled full pans because I'm kind of tired of the little half pans now. I filled full pans and put it in a fountain pen case, an empty fountain pen case instead of buying a palette. And then I have the colors listed on the top as well as on the sides of each pan, so I know what I'm working with. So that's another option. That's Steve Mitchell Mind of Watercolor, My Marie Blue. You can find them on Amazon. There's another option. There are all types of paints that you can get into. You can get into gouache. You can get into, I don't know, there's just all kind of brands. There's Schmincke. There's, here's another one I recently purchased. That's one thing. Once you get started, you just kind of keep going. These are by Tonic, St. Louis Art Supply, and each color comes in its own little ceramic pan. Isn't that cool? And it's supposed to be the equivalent of, I think it said 5 or 6 half pans. So this is a lot of paint. And this is an example of the cools and the warms. This is a, I don't have the name. Oh yeah, I do have the names here. It's a permanent yellow. This is called Signal Yellow. This is Quim Magenta, which is the cool. And the Cyan, Phthalo Cyan, which is the cool. I did that backwards. I'm looking at my list here, but I pointed to the wrong ones. This is the permanent yellow, Quim Magenta, and Cyan. This is the Signal Yellow, which would be warmer. The Federal Red is what they call it. And then Ultramarine is the warmer colors. This is a little mixing serum solution that they sent with it, and I'm still yet to learn how to use it. So I like to try all kind of different things. But that's, as far as paint's concerned, that's just some basics. I have a lot. I have a lot of paint. I've been doing this for 6 years now. The next question is often paper. What do you use for paper? I personally prefer Arches cold press 140 pound. The cold press cotton rag paper is important for absorption for your watercolors and for blending. If it has like just a percentage of cotton, like 25% cotton, and the rest is wood pulp, it's just not going to adhere as nicely. And so your paper is important. You can get away with less expensive paints, but I wouldn't skimp on paper. 140 pound. There are other companies. There's Fabriano, Strathmore, Saunders, and Waterford. They all have 100% cotton that you're going to have to pay a little bit more for, but it's worth it in the long run. This is a pad of, this is 9 by 12, but what I also do is I buy full sheets, and which is 22 by 30 inches. And then not that one, you don't want to see that one. I cut them I cut them down to size. So I have, I can make smaller sizes, see? And then I can even fold this one in half and make a smaller size yet. So there are a lot of, and I can do that with the tablet as well. And they also come blocked with glued on all 4 sides with the space at the top. So that's my preference for paper, but I have all kind of paper. I have rice paper, I have mulberry paper. I have, because I'm an explorer, I have this big cotton book. It's handmade paper. And this also applies very differently, I found. The water just kind of wants to sit on it. Let me find something that's at least halfway decent to show you. Here's one I did. It's not bad. But it takes time. You have to take some time to work on it, let it dry, then go back and try again, add some more. Give it time. There's another one I did for a friend of mine. So that's another option there, but each one is going to give you a different texture, different appearance, and the different way it dries. So that's all part of the adventure in learning watercolor. I also use sketchbooks. My favorite company for sketchbooks is Etcher. This is a hot press, but they also have cold press paper. Cold press paper has some texture. Hot press paper is smooth. So it's going to give you, it's going to dry differently. It's going to give you stronger lines. And you can also incorporate ink work like I have in these with fine line markers or permanent ink. There's another option. Talking about watercolor, some of the works that I have done over the last year, just kind of reviewing for 2024. This is one of my favorites. This is my black cat. Oh, there's going to be a reflection. I can get it. Black cat, and I was looking at the flower to paint it, and she came up on my lap and she wanted to eat it. So I took a photo on my phone, and then I painted her reference. This is one of my favorite pictures. Another one that I did this last year is a scene reference photo from a friend of mine who travels all over the world, and he's given me permission to paint his photos. This one I did not just with watercolor, but I also used stencils to lay over the top and then go over it after it's dry. Then go over it with like a wet, soft toothbrush, blot up the water, lift the stencil, and you're pulling out some of the color and letting some of this color or marks from the stencil show through. And I really love this one. I've had people ask about this one, but this is one I wanted to keep. I do have a website where you can purchase prints, coffee cups, mugs, whatever. It's another one of my favorites I did this fall. This is a reference photo from a friend in my Follow Your Brush group on Facebook named Christy, and she posted this, and it was just so riveting. I had to try it, and I was very pleased with how this came out as well. One more show and tell, and then I'll show you some going into brushes. This is another one I did, a friend of mine that travels, and I believe this was in Portugal, and he took this picture on the beach, and I had to try it. I also tried it in ink, permanent ink as well, and it came out really fun. So that's your paper. Let's talk about brushes. That's the next question, is what do you want for brushes? There are some excellent brushes out there. Princeton Neptune makes a great watercolor set. This is not super expensive to start with. I started with a Skoda. It's a synthetic Skoda Versatile, and I believe it's the number 16. Nice big. This is kind of called an oval mop brush. It gives you a lot of water. You want water on your page. Then my personal favorites, I like natural hair brushes, and I enjoy brushes from Tracy Levinson, which if watched me on my channel, you know I've recommended Tracy, and he even gives a discount of some sort with the coupon code PAM. They're a little pricier, but as you begin to paint, sometimes you might want something. This particular one is goat hair with synthetic tip. He also has, I got it in here. He also does sell synthetics. His are different in that each one is handmade, takes over 50 steps for each brush. And the handles are bamboo, very lightweight. And if you followed me at all, you know I've had some surgeries on this thumb. So the lightweight bamboo handles, for me, is just perfect, or if you have arthritis or something of that nature. This is also a synthetic brush that I purchased that is really good for detail work. And this one is from Escoda. And so you can look these names up online. But the brushes do make a difference. And there's different types. This is a, took my glasses off, now I can't see. So number 10, flat brush. So it's good for doing strokes, downward strokes, or you can use it on the side to make lines. This is like a, well, triangle. It's called a triangle brush. It's got it on there. This is really cool. If you can see the shape, changes shape as you turn it. So you can get great lines, or you can use the side, you can use the tip. It's a really nice, really nice brush. And those are from, I have another couple more here. These are from, they're silver ruby satin. And this one is a number 4 round. So depending on what you're painting, you might want to change the size of your brushes. But these are some of my favorites that I have chosen. If you're out and about and you want to paint on the go, you can buy refillable water brushes that you just fill with water and then you squeeze them, it comes out the tip. The other thing I like, I got this from Escoda, sable, Russian sable is a really desirable brush. I'm trying to think of how to put this. If you don't like natural hair brushes, that's fine. There's plenty of excellent synthetic. You do want a springy brush for watercolor and something that will hold the water. But there are plenty of synthetic brands out there that will hold them. But this is a sable hair. In fact, they're difficult to buy now, sable brushes. They're natural hair brushes. And one thing that makes them difficult to buy online anyway is that they're no longer able to, Kolinsky sable, that's what I was trying to figure out the name. Kolinsky sable, they're no longer allowed to ship them to the US. But I found this travel set from Escoda, beautiful travel set. It has 2 large, 2 mediums, and 2 smalls. And here's a medium. Pushes on. It's also a round. This is a size 8. And these are absolutely beautiful to work with. When you do dry your brushes, try to remember to put them back in here face down, or even your regular brushes that you use. You want to let them dry face down or on the side. Face down, I mean top down is what I'm trying to say. Top down or on the side, so the water doesn't go back into the barrel of the handle of the brush, because that can damage your brush. Then just real quickly, some things that I've added in my journey, and I'll do a separate video on each of these because I'm just giving an overview today for 2025 if you have questions about watercolor. I just purchased for myself for Christmas this Caran d'Ache water soluble Neo Crayon 2. Not Neo Crayon 1, Neo Crayon 2 are the water solubles. And just like we love painting, coloring, it's like, who doesn't love a good set of watercolors, crayons, right? I just got the set of 10, and they go on like a crayon, but when you wet them, it's pigmented. And so this is the little swatch card that I made with these crayons. So when you color, you add water to it, and then it's like watercolor. And you can blend, you can let it dry in between layers, add another layer, wet again, and you can layer, you can blend, and I'm just learning. So I don't have a whole lot to tell you with great authority on these because I'm just practicing. Then another thing, another area that is fun that I have ventured into is inks and fountain pens, and I have a lot of inks that I've been playing with and fountain pens. And if you watch my Down the Ink Hole, you will see that where I do swatching of my inks. But something else that I have just also gotten, this is called the Wren, and this is a tip, has a tip on it. It is most unusual. This is from Tom's Studio in the UK, and these are replaceable tips. Let me take this off here and show you. This is quite unique. And so this is something else that I have just started playing with. But it has a cartridge. Whoops, it just came out. Didn't mean to do that. It has this little cartridge that's not pre-filled. Let me just get an empty one and show you, because that one already is filled. We'll just play with me for just a second. Let me put that. And it has tips. I have another one here called the Lumos. This is the Lumos Mini. And it also has a replaceable or adjustable. You can replace the nibs, the tips. And I just got ink all over myself, which happens. But let me show you what it looks like. I'm not going to fill it up because I don't want to ink up everything right now. But this is what the little cartridges look like. They're like just like a little cotton. I don't know what it's filled with. But what you do is you have adjustable tips for the Lumos. It has this is a full tip set. I need to just do a whole video on these with different size tips. And these can take the place of your fine line markers. You can put regular fountain pen ink if you want them water soluble. It even has a brush tip. It goes from 0.1 up to 1.0, and then it has writing tips and felt tips down here at this end. So what you do is you add the tip to the pen and then attach it to this little cartridge. You dip it in your ink and the ink just sucks it right up. It's actually really cool. I gotta show you. I will put this in a safe place. I'm not going to. I will do another video on this, I promise. Here's a little tiny thing of ink that they sent. And now watch this. I'll just do it partially. Look how that ink starts to go right up the tube. And then it's full of ink, and you can attach it. Attach one of your nibs to your pen and screw it all together, and you've got a pen that you can write with that is not disposable. You don't have to throw it away like you might cartridges or disposable pens. This will last. This is like, you're good to go. You're good to go. So now that I have filled it, I'm gonna put it here to keep it, and I'll put it in a pen here in a second. But those are some of the adventures that I have gone on with watercolor, and the possibilities are just endless what you can do. There are so many excellent mentors and teachers on YouTube. Steve Mitchell, Mind of Watercolor, Angela Fair, Buffy Kaufman is on YouTube, and her membership's only $4.99 a month. Excellent, excellent teacher. She's a brand ambassador for Daniel Smith, so I follow her. And there are just so many excellent mentors and teachers. I'm just a follower. But if you want to follow along with me, you are more than welcome to like and subscribe and follow my adventures as I follow my brush. And now I am going down the ink hole. So thanks for watching and liking and subscribing. If you've made it this far, comment if you are new or how many years you have been painting or what your favorite expression of crafting and creativity is in your world. Maybe it's mixed media, maybe it's, I don't know, cloth, fiber. It's all art and it's all creativity and it's all fun. It's all really fun, and to me it's like therapy. So I hope you'll join me as I follow my brush and go down the ink hole. See you next time. Thanks. Bye.